if anyone trains calisthenics in a public gym, you're most likely gonna be able to relate. And if you're not relating, please let me know what your thoughts about this is. But in my opinion, I find it so fascinating what people think is actually hard within calisthenics. It's never that I do a full planche or I do some front lever training that people come up to me and say like, damn bro, you are so strong. The times when people come up to me is either when I do weighted pull-ups, weighted dips, or handstand push-ups. Those are the only occasions. I have never had a random person in the gym come up to me when I do planche and give me some cred. But it always happens when I do the other skills. And this is the thing as well, like just because this skill is hard, that doesn't really matter. The main thing when it comes to the human brain is how relatable is it? And do we have a fixed point that we know how heavy it is that we can compare it to? So when it comes to skills, no one has no clue of how hard a planche is because they have nothing close to a planche to compare it with. Whereas in the weight training, in weighted pull-ups as well, they can always relate to, I know how hard a 10 kg pull-up is. I know how hard a just normal pull-up is. I know how hard 10 pull-ups with no weight is. They have so many fixed points that they personally can relate to, that they can see a clear path to how far ahead you are in your training. But with some skills, it's impossible. Then of course we have like Maltese and those things. It just looks so insanely hard that people know that this is really hard to achieve. But those in between, like a full planche, super hard to reach, but still people underestimate it. And the same, to be honest, is front lever. If you have a random person, they most likely think they can do a tuck or advanced tuck. And a lot of times they try it, it's not even close. It's not even close because it's so much harder than you think. But that is one of those things, people think it's like an L-sit. Compare it to an L-sit and like, yeah, I can do some L-sit races, I can do some leg races, it should be alright. And then boom, different connection, a lot of other muscles involved as well. But you get my point. So I find it really interesting. And the same as well is for social media, since that's where I post a lot of things. I also of course need to adapt to what do people want to see, what is most beneficial for me to put my time on creating. And trust me, doing the simplest things are always the most rewarding when it comes to views, engagement, people relate, people share stuff. It's never if I do just this crazy combo. On freestyle especially, super hard because no one relates to freestyle. Like in a normal eyes, a 360, a 540, a 720, they're all just spins. Only the real ones that are in the sport understands each freestyle move and how they differ from each other and how hard it is to perform. But from an outside perspective where you have nothing relatable to a 360 or Gengar or whatever it may be, it's super hard to know how hard it is. Super hard. So, for freestyle, also a challenge to make it perform well in social media. But the thing that always is really working good is the simple stuff. It's the push-up stuff. It's the weighted repetitions. It's challenges that are just slightly harder than a normal one, but people can relate. Maybe a push-up variations or a pull-up variation or a muscle-up. Also a really cool skill. And if you do a sort of twist to the muscle-up, people can understand like, yeah, the muscle-up is hard, but this looks even harder. So that is so fascinating. And the reason I even bring it up now is because lately I've been getting so many people coming up to me in the gym, which I already said was one of those things that I really enjoy when it comes to calisthenics, is that if I want the sport to grow, I can't just be training in my basement or on a place where no one can see me live, because it is different. And I want the sport to grow. Of course, freestyle is harder for it, but just getting a solid foundation, a lot of people training basics and all those things, that's like one step forward. And trust me, there's more people than I expected that actually pursue calisthenics. Not necessarily like they go all in on it, but some people that came up to me, they are super solid in weighted pull-ups, like good numbers. I had one guy came up to me, he could do handstand push-ups, not good form, but handstand push-ups. He did like 2 reps. And that in my opinion also is like, I had no idea people still train it in that way. I'm just in a random gym and still meeting people with significantly high level in calisthenics. And that is really fun to see. And when people come up to me as well, I always want to spend time giving them my tips, giving them feedback on improvements. And even though I don't necessarily get anything in return in that sense, I just feel so good to spread the sport and to help someone pursue it. So for me, that's all I need. Like, to just see more people enjoy it, and especially if we become smaller, like groups are getting created in these gyms that train calisthenics, is just such a vibe. And for me, that is worth everything. So if anyone ever comes up, I'm more than happy to spend my time helping them. And also another thing, back to what people find interesting, is that if I want to show off, if I have someone, you know, we all have those people that want to be sort of alphas. I personally am one. If it's a douchey person, I also tend to just like, fuck off, I'm just gonna show full power. And sometimes when I meet these people that just really want to show that they are better than you, then I always do weighted dips or weighted pull-ups or those relatable things that is like, it's so hard for them to even be close to me. If we do gym exercises, for the upper body I usually stand a pretty good chance, but the legs I'm pretty screwed. But if I want to just show off like crazy, it's the weighted stuff. It's the weighted stuff to go. Because if I do statics, of course they're not going to be able to do it as well, but it's not even something they know how hard it is. So having those weighted reps in my back, or as a backup for showing off, it's a good thing to have. I also think it helps to spread the sport, to make it more broad, is to get a really easy path for people to get into the sport. And I think weighted calisthenics is really helpful there. It's easy to see a clear path of how you can get better. It's easy to see how the weights can increase, the reps can increase. Whereas statics, you really need more understanding behind the programming for reaching a certain skill than with reps. You can pretty straightforward get started with your reps training, and I really enjoy it personally, and I think a lot of people also find it fascinating. So that is a good hook as well. So I always tell people I train both, because people love reps as well. And then I tell them you can start off with a little bit of statics as well, contribute to your reps training as well, but statics just add a little bit and you will slowly start to see progress there as well. Not just strictly telling them only do statics. I don't think that's the way to go either. You gotta find a nice balance of what you enjoy training, and then of course what gives you results, but you just gotta know what you value the most. Is it quick results? Is it long-term results? Is it enjoying what you're actually doing? Which in my opinion is the number one thing, because then it just always keeps me showing up, getting results eventually and enjoying it all the way. Then it's like I have nothing to regret. But imagine training such a long time, hating it, but just thinking it's gonna pay off, and then it doesn't. I don't know. Then it's pretty harsh. Then of course you gotta to some degree just push through some periods where you're not enjoying it that much, but not for a really long time. At that point I think it's more about finding a way to actually enjoy it. But no more talking, it is time for a planche session. I will see how I feel today with the Maltese. It was something I did before the injury and still have a lot of power in it, but just how hard I want to push it. So I will see after the warm-up, after the stretching, how the body feels, if I will start training it again, or if I might just do a planche workout as well, and then ending it with some weighted dips. So see you guys in the gym. First up, we're gonna do 2 exercises that is for the mobility. First one is gonna be with a dumbbell. The other one is gonna be also with a dumbbell, but only 1 kilogram. And the purpose of that one is to train also not just the flexibility, but actually being strong in all the positions as well, so the whole range. And hopefully these 2 together are gonna give me some better mobility for one-arm handstand mainly, and handstand in general. So let's get started. 2 sets. First one is a 2-minute hold, and then the second set is just gonna be a 1 minute. Height and core, pronate the body. It is crazy how much I feel in the core. I don't know if I'm putting too much focus on keeping the pronated body, like the hollow body hold, but I actually get sore in the abs. Or it's just a sign that my core and just the lower part is so freaking weak, which is then good that I'm adding more exercise for them as well. But I don't know, it is heavy. Not only like being in a mobility exercise, I usually have a struggle with it because it's not heavy, but it's still really hard to perform because it's in a position the body just usually isn't at. So I don't know, I do what I have to do, but not the funniest one. Let's do 1 more minute of this one and then move on to the next mobility drill. I saw that my legs were pretty far away, so it might be that I had just a too crazy of an angle, which meant I sort of held a plank position, and that's why I got so sore in the core. So I tried to bring my knees just slightly closer at least, so it's roughly 90 degrees here. And hopefully it fixes my weak core problem. This of course was just 1 minute, but it felt way better in the core. I hope the form still was pretty decent, but at least I didn't get the cramps this time. Next up, the mobility and strength drill. This one is harsh. It is literally just trying to get my shoulder as far up as possible, but that sounds easy if you have a pronated body, but with the retraction, so your shoulder backwards and downwards and then pushing up, oof, it's a different story. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So 2 sets per arm. It's only 2 kilograms, but trust me, it's heavy as it is. And about, I think, 6-7 reps, probably pretty slow. So retraction down and then get it. And just to make it clear, this is where it feels, in the middle back section, by the scapulas. Because there's a big difference. If I just to do races with pronated, it's way more shoulders, but I also deactivate that part, and this is where the hard point comes in. But let's do 1 more on the other one and then 2 more sets in general. Absolute hell, but needs to be done. I'm gonna do 1 more set on each arm and then jump to the probably Maltese. I want to give it 1 more or 1 attempt because the body feels pretty good. But I'm gonna do this one. I'm not gonna let you guys watch though because it's just so boring. You get the point. It is time, the Maltese hold, and it's gonna be interesting. The setup isn't the best one. It's a bit too tight here, but I think it should be manageable. And the band might just be helping at a slight angle, which is, it's not ideal, but it works. So let's do 1 set pronated and just see if I am on a decent level or if I lost a lot. not too bad. I am actually gonna switch up to the other resistance band. Don't know if it was because I had way more help than usual, but it felt freaking good. No pain in lower back whatsoever, which is definitely the number one thing. Of course, slight pain in the hands, but that's due to the grip. In general, I think that's really successful. Let's do one more. Slightly less of help from the resistance band, but I think a few seconds should still be doable. It feels so much better than I thought it would. Not doing it for such a long time, but maybe it helped. Maybe I just overtrained, which was clearly one of the reasons I got injured. But this was insane. Everything just added up. How's it feel now? I don't know. I'm gonna check the form, but it feels good with connection as well. And this is the band I left off with, which is insane. Then slightly different setup, so it's helping at an angle, but not too crazy of a difference. So I'm extremely satisfied. It's like I gained progress by being injured, which is weird. I had a look at the footage and arms looking really solid. Protraction looks pretty fine as well. The only thing is that my angle of my body is a bit off. The bum is a bit too high and my legs as well. But I do think it's because of the weights. If I look at it, it feels like my body just wants to go away from the weights, like I know it's here. I just want to say that because that's one thing as well when you're training. That's why I like doing it on higher parallettes. Even if I would be able to do it on the floor, I would feel so claustrophobic almost. I would be so close to the ground that even if I'm in the same position, even if the setup would work, it would just feel like I'm in a really tight space, and that would limit my factors of performing really well. So when I feel free, when I have a lot of open space around me, I always perform better. So give that a try if you ever train in a crowded or just tight space. Switch it up and see, you're gonna feel like you're flying, or at least it works for me. So I moved the weights and hopefully it does a difference. Maybe slightly wider. I think the hips were better though. And it's also the first set of just pure destruction. But it felt good. Not the best one in terms of how long I held it, but I think the form, the width was pretty on point. Let's move on. It is time for some supinated holds. Same band as for the Maltese, the 5 to 15 kg from Gornation. And hopefully this one should be longer hold than Maltese since it's easier. But we'll see. Then again, some days it's just weird. Sometimes the Maltese is better than full planche. Could have been worse, could probably have been better as well, but let's see how the hip position was. That's the main thing in my opinion. My hips are alright, and the protraction, I don't really care about the hold too much, because if I just get a long hold and watch it and the form is so shit, it just doesn't feel like success. So good form for me is better. Look to right, just gonna see if I can straighten out my legs slightly more and get my hips just a bit more downwards. Those two things I'm gonna focus on. Hopefully it makes the form better. It's so heavy. Sometimes I feel towards the end I could probably hold it for like 2 more seconds, but sacrifice some retraction. So I will have a check in to see how it is. Sometimes I feel like it's worth pushing it, even though the form isn't spot on. But some exercises I just feel like I'd rather keep that energy for the next set and get a few better seconds there. But I don't know. Let's have a look, and hopefully the overall performance at least was better than the first one. I think the form improved a lot in that last set, especially with the hip positioning. Also the straightened legs makes it just look more clean. Still I tend to just bend my knees slightly, which I don't know, it bothers me because it fucks it up a bit. Even though it's not necessarily that much harder, I just need to put a lot of focus on actually having them straight. Either way, Let's do one more set. I also counted the seconds on the last one. It was about 10 seconds, which is way longer than I thought I had. So that is good, especially with this band. That is not giving too much help. It's nice. Not as long, but then again it's the last set as well. And overall, I'm really satisfied with the full planche as well. The Maltese went really well, full planche felt solid. And now I am gonna switch up to just do the weighted dips. I'm gonna skip the straight arm races today because I'm a bit tight on the schedule, and due to all the flexibility or mobility exercises, the Maltese, this one, then the dips, and then I always gonna end it with the hyperextension, which is really important as well now for the so I'm just strengthening my lower back. So that one is the last one I will take away, and therefore just gonna skip the race today because it's too much. Also want to update you guys on the heavyweight front lever introduction. I have now planned everything. That took some damn long time, and then now actually recorded everything, and it turned out extremely well. I feel like I got all the value I needed. There's still things to the program that I will be able to add later on as well, but right now it is just so much information, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I do believe it's going to help a lot of people reach the front lever just by having all the knowledge and the structure for it. So if you haven't heard about it, or if you have heard it, I will leave the link up here and also in the description for you to check out. It's free to join, and you will be some of the first people to get access to it when it's out. So as I previously mentioned, one reason why I stepped down with the weighted stuff in the overall weight is just because it has, since I'm using the dip belt, it puts all the load on the lower back. Then again, of course, it's not the main area, but when I had my sort of peak injury, if you can call it that, it just didn't feel good. Even though I didn't get pain from it, it's just unnecessary to put that extra load. But today I'm thinking let's do 60 kilograms, just slightly more than for the pull-ups, so the overall load on the lower back isn't going to be that much different. And then might step it up to like 70 or 80 if it feels really good. And then for hopefully next week, be back on the 80 to 90 kg reps. Because my upper body is allowing it, it's just I don't want to push it. Yeah, I mean, it feels really good. I just really miss weighted stuff, and especially the higher weights. Let's bump it up, just 10 kg, 70. It's not crazy much. I'm gonna do a bit slower reps as well, just to not get the acceleration for the lower back. But strength-wise for the upper body, I think it's gonna be better than just rep the higher ones. 70 kg, aiming for like 8 to 10 reps. Since I'm reducing the speed, it's going to be a bit longer time and attention, so hard to do more reps, but at least 8. Not too bad. So also now my upper body has just recovered so much in the dips that it feels really fresh. So I think I could get some good numbers when I eventually increase the weight, because it just feels pure connection throughout the full range, extremely powerful even with a slower speed. Feels really good. Let's do one more, keep the weight the same. No reason to push it today. Sorry that the angles are pretty shit, but these ones are only like in one direction, so there's no one I can put out on the other side. But it will work, gets the job done. Solid 10 reps as well. Last up, hyper extensions, and today I got the good setup for it. I like this one since we have some space for the knees underneath, which means I can get the full range of motion, so relax my lower back, and then actually get the full range as well without feeling too close to the ground, which is the main problem with doing it on a lower bench. Let's do 3 sets and just see how hard it is. I'm also going to start pretty far out to get some more activation with the core, so not only the lower back. Not the most comfortable exercise either. Like, it's insane pressure on the top chest where I'm actually putting the weight of my body. But it feels good, it feels really good. Both connection in the hips, but then targets the lower back a lot more, especially for the last extension. Let's get it. One more. It's rough, but it's also good. If it was too easy, I would get pretty bored doing it. Now I get really frustrated because it's harder than I thought, which is, in a good way, means that I'm gonna push it and ultimately get some results. Because I do feel like everything I do, the lower back, it really needs to step up its game when it comes to strength. And all of these accessory exercises just targeting in the end of sessions, I think they're gonna work really, really well. That's it. That felt really good to say, because now I'm pretty damn fatigued. Just the full body is pretty tired. I got a question of how long I usually am in the gym, and today it turned out to be 2 hours, but I also spend a lot of time talking to people about calisthenics, about bodybuilding, all of these things. It's really fun with gyms though. You meet so many different people, and yeah, I just enjoy it a lot, so I'd rather spend some time talking, and even if the session turns out to be slightly longer, then I'm fine with it because I enjoy being here. And 2 hours today, but usually I prefer to have it around 1.5 to 2 hours maximum, not more than that. I don't think more is necessary either. Fucking dead. It's not the planche, it's not the Maltese, it's the fucking hyperextensions that takes me out. Shit. I am not gonna lie, I am extremely happy with how this session turned out. Starting off with mobility, it feels good for me mentally just to know that I'm doing something that's gonna be beneficial for me. But then mainly the fact that my Maltese was pretty much where I left off, almost stronger, to be honest. Then again, always when you have a bit more of a rest, you usually perform better. So it might just been a really good day, but hopefully the average Maltese sessions in the future are now gonna be pretty much like this. That would be awesome. And then full planche, the supinated grip, also went really well. Felt good connection, weighted dips, no pain whatsoever, no lower back. Really feels like I'm starting to get back on track. However, still not gonna just
fuck everything when it comes to the recovery part or the mobility. Just gonna keep this steady line, slowly increasing, and I think that in the long run is just gonna give me the most results. But either way, it feels really good to be back, and I'm super happy to be training a bit more statics once again. So with that being said, hit like, subscribe, and I will see all of you in the next one. Choo choo!